Okay, I'm also good. So I would like us to just start right away and we continue because what we need to do is just have an understanding on how we set up the environment for Linux and then how we will be able to answer the questions. So since that is our main business, I don't want to waste a lot of time. I would like to try and do something. Uh, just a minute. Are you able to see that window? The one I'm sharing, I'm sure you're able to see it. So the first thing we needed to do, if you are running Windows operating system, there are two ways you can perform this activity. You can either do dual installation or dual booting. If not so, you do a virtual installation, whereby you're going to install this Linux operating system on top of the Windows operating system. So some of the things we needed is like the Linux operating system. Here I have Ubuntu. You could also use any other, like Linux Mint. You could also use Kali Linux, any. All of them are okay. So it doesn't matter which Linux environment you're going to use. Kali Linux environment has an advantage because you always log in as an admin or you are the root. But these others, you will always have to now be logged in as an admin, or you will need the privileges so that you can perform different activities. The reason for using the Linux environment is in order for us to understand how the processes are normally executed and how the environment normally works. So that is the reason why we are doing this. Now, in order for you to install, the first thing you needed to do for those who do not have the Linux environment, so you create a bootable disk. This is what I needed to do. I'm using Rufus. You can use any other tool which you find. And so if you're using Rufus, I just select the image which I want to create the bootable disk with. So once it is ready, everything is shown there. I will just create a bootable disk on this flash drive. So I start. And this one is going to clean every data on that flash drive, which is okay. So it will delete everything, then it begins to create a bootable disk. So that is the first task, and I hope it is clear to you. So if you are following, that is one of the things you can do. And once you create, then we shall move to the next step of the environment. So let us give it some time. I hope it will move very fast. So I do hope up to there tuko na kila mtu, ndio mtu asipotee aanze kusema hii kitu ni ngumu. So there are people who created the dual boot. Sometimes it did not work. So it is always very important for you to know how you are going to do the installation and which version of Windows you are using, because I know some of them do not allow. If you are using Windows 8, it could have messed you up. But with Windows 10, it was easy to do a dual boot installation. But now that is another story altogether. Here, I just want to show you how to create the virtual machine. I also shared in the WhatsApp group, those who had tried to do the installation, If your machine doesn't have virtualization enabled, or your operating system did not have the virtualization capability enabled on your Windows operating system, then you needed to do it. And there are some screenshots which I shared via WhatsApp on how people could be able now to enable virtualization so that you can install now the virtual machine and then go ahead and install another operating system on top of Windows. So I hope that is also clear. So we wait for the installation to be complete. Also, in order for us to move in speed, I would like you to download. If you do not have the virtual machine player, here I have downloaded the VMware 15 VMware player. If you go to the internet and you just Google VMware workstation, you'll find it here. I just Google, this is the first result you get. Once you get this one, you just right click on it, you open here, just download. This is a free download. Others are paid for. There are so many. So we just go to this one, which is a free download, download it so that once we install once we are done with creating the bootable disk, we will be able now to install the virtual machine. So that is what I would like you to do as this one is continuing. So if you have downloaded your virtual machine player, then we can go ahead and install it. So that is the next thing that you need to do, install the virtual machine player. So we go next, accept terms, next. Oh, we don't need that. Now you can select whether you want to check for updates or not, or the VMware program experience. Some of these things we do not need just for class, so we just do the installation. Click install. So that process should just go smoothly. I do not expect there to be a challenge. The only challenge is if virtualization has not been enabled on your machine, then you might find a challenge. Unaweza maliza kuinstall and then when you try to run the virtual machine player in order for you to install your operating system. It might be a challenge. But if it is enabled, and this is something I shared on another session altogether, if it is enabled, then you are good to go. So the installation continues. I think this one has completed installation, the volume label and everything. Okay. So the virtual drivers are still installing. That should go smoothly. So once it is done, you just finish. That should you just finish. This one also finished. So we close. So just to confirm, I can check on my flash drive. Just remove and install and plug in again. It will be able to show me that my flash drive now has the Linux operating system, which is Ubuntu 18.043. So our bootable disk is ready and our virtual VMware environment is also ready. So I just start it there. And here, what we need to do is to create a new virtual machine. So we start creating. Now, we can use the bootable disk or we can just get an image. Here, since I have an image, I wanted to show people who don't have an image or who have a bootable disk, how you would do it. Here, since I have it on my machine, I would just select this one, the one I just created a bootable disk with, and then I click next. So which name do I give it? Maybe I would call it OS. File name. Let me just call it class. Username. I can say username is, let me say, Wilson. Password is 1234. I confirm 1234. So you should be able to remember the username and password you have put. Just wanted something easy and quick. So we continue with the installation. Just go next. Here, you just need to know to tell how much disk space do you want to allow, depending on what your machine has. If I look at my machine here, it has all of this space, 100 GB. So if I allocate this this virtual machine here, 20 GB, that is okay. And then you need to leave these as split virtual disks. Then we continue. Here, we just want to allocate some hardware to this virtual machine because it needs somewhere to run in. So I customize the hardware depending now on the hard drive. So what I've clicked is here, customize the hardware. So I can say my machine is going to have, the ideal is giving me is 2 GB because my machine has 4 GB RAM. So it normally divides by 2. The guest OS can have a minimum of 1 GB for it to operate and a maximum of 2.9 GB. Beyond that, it will be affecting our primary operating system. So for here, it is at 2 GB, which is the recommended. I will leave it at that. And these others, you can just specify which processors. If your machine is a multi-processor, You can do all of these. So we leave them the way they are, but you can always adjust them. So once you're done with that, then you're good to go, and you say finish, so that you complete the installation. So it will do a normal installation the way you just install an operating system. That is the way it will do. So we follow through the process. So I hope I'm okay for the software is available for download. No, we can just say remind me later, because it will be taking up, it may take up time as we are downloading and installing. So I hope up to there everybody is okay. The whole process of creating a virtual machine, creating a bootable disk, which you could use now to install your operating system, and now the installation process which we are going through. Okay, okay, thank you. So we give it time as the installation continues. Lucy Njoki, we are doing installation of the virtual machine and the Linux environment. That is what we are doing. If you have been following on WhatsApp, we heard questions of how do we go about this. I gave an assignment and people seemed not to understand, and that is what we are trying to demystify. Yes, thank you. Someone is asking, which OS would you advise to install, Ubuntu or Kali Linux? Any, both of them have a user interface. Kali Linux is better, is more security oriented, and you always are logged in as the root, compared to Ubuntu, whereby if you want to perform some of the activities, you would need now to get more privileges for you to perform some of the processes in the operating system. So both of them are okay for these activities we are performing at the moment. But depending on the functionality you want to achieve later, Ubuntu is always like Windows, I could say. It is used for basic operations for normal users. Kali Linux is for people who are dealing with security mostly. So if you want to do with hacking or testing security systems, having applications, that is where you find Kali Linux has things like Wireshark pre-installed. Wireshark is used for testing packets and all of that. I used Linux Lite on live mode. Could this have given wrong answers? No, not really. It depends on how you set it up. Because the answers is not like you are going to get the exact answers. Those answers would be varying. And that is what I said in the other class. Answers are going to be varying from one machine to the other. Because if you are checking, if your machine has two processors and you are checking the number of processors in your machine, definitely mwenye ako na two processors itaonyesha two processors, mwenye ako na three processors itaonyesha three, and all of that. So I will show you how to give the closest answer to what is available there, because you wouldn't have gotten like the exact answer. What I needed is something close to what is given in those lists. Na utaona even in the multiple choices there are those answers which are just far-fetched. Hata ukijaribu unaona hizo ziko mbali, but kuna ile iko karibu, and that is what I wanted you to look at and at least attempt. So waje imalize kufanya hii installation, depending on how your machine is fast, inaweza install mbio mbio, ingine inaweza enda pole pole, but I just wanted to take you through the entire process step by step, ndio watu wengine wako wanashikanisha what needs to be done. So I hope right now, yeah, at least things are a bit clear. Have I answered you? Okay, okay. So just be patient as it is doing the installation. Once it is done, we will continue. So just be patient a little bit. I just wanted to take you through the process step by step. Let it just finish and then we continue now with the assignment itself. We just walk through it. Okay, so the installation is complete. So once it is complete now, the boot up process starts normally. So what we are running here is a virtual machine, but it is a Ubuntu operating system. So that is what we are doing. So it will just boot normally, just like any other operating system, but it is booting on top of Windows because we have enabled virtualization. Okay, so now we need to log in. So you have to remember the password that you put. Mine was 1234. I think so. Now the machine is a little bit slow. One of the challenges with virtual machine is that if your machine is not good, because you are running an operating system on top of another, it may slow down. So here it is a bit slow, but let's give it time. See. So once we are logged in, now we can perform the other activities that we needed to. So the first thing we were supposed to do is to, if we go to our, now this is the terminal which we have here. This showing who the user is on Ubuntu. So if now we wanted to run our commands, or we go to the assignment that we were doing, now that is what I would like to show you. So the first question was about what? PWD. If you type that, what do you see? It shows you where you are. Now, if you logged in as so and so, but you are at home, are you able to see that? So here it is home, and then this is the user, Wilson. So your answer, when you go to the Google Forms, which one would have been closest? If you look at the answer which were given there, home would have been the closest answer. So that is what I was asking you guys to do. I hope there I'm clear. Why not give actual details instead of close estimation? Dungi Rebecca is asking that. Now, you see like what I have just installed now. It is showing that Wilson is the user, but still at home. Now, if you go to your machine, it will give you something else different. So it keeps on adjusting. If you were for example, working with Kali Linux, it will still give you something different. So, but still, is our time to, and they haven't created the user, it will start with the root, which is correct. And when you go to my answers, you will see that root is also correct. Yes, correct. So it all depended on what you typed. The problem was that some people never did it. That is why they never got any answer, or they couldn't have any idea of what to put as the answer. That is why I was saying you will need to put something which is close. So when you go and select the one that you have selected, you will see that it is the answer, depending on where you are operating. So I hope that is clear. Okay, thank you. So we continue. If we went to the next question, it was asking you to use the man command, or what was it? Let me just check again. Man, yes. So in your manual page, PWDL, PWD, all of this. So when you come across, you see when I have typed that command, and you come across a list of answers. Now, this is something else you also need to do. Man, PWD, what does that? There, the PWD command do. Correct. The next one. So it will give you details of where you are working from. Have you seen something like that? deletes all the directories. It prints the name of the current working directory. And I press Q. Sorry. So, which one do you think was the correct answer? No, you couldn't have scored a 0. I had 3 correct choices. If I'm not wrong, I had 3 correct choices. So there is no way you could have missed. That one I know. 3 of them were correct choices. The second one, the second question, where we are listing where we are and the activities which take place. That is what the PWD man is doing. So if you want to, you will hit quit to quit the PWD man, or hit the space bar to continue up to the end of the directory. Then we continue with the third question, which was asking what? Actually, the question which followed next. If you hit quit, what happened? And if you hit the space bar, what happened? I think that is the third option of our answers. In question number 3, are you guys following what I am saying? Actually, question number 3 was straightforward. If you press Q, you are quitting, and it even shows you when you type the command. When you press spacebar, see, Q is for quitting, then you press H is for help, spacebar is for continuing until the end. Correct. So when you go to your answers, what would you find? Seeing more pages or space files and all of that. It is you now to select. But you have seen you're moving to the next page. As you hit the space bar, it takes you to the next page until you get to the end. So is it making sense? Are you able to hear me? Or yes, you see, that was the correct answer. Somebody is asking, how can I know which questions I got wrong and which ones? So I have just asked people to redo the whole thing, and then I will mark it afresh. So depending on what you will get, whether it is the first one or the second one, the one you get better, that is the one I'm going to use. So I hope that makes sense. That is why I wanted people to redo, and I have reactivated the whole Google form. You just walk through it. Now, the other one, we are saying you type ls. That one is for listing all the directories or the directories you might be able to find there. So depending, again, on your machine and everything, you will be able to select several there. Desktop is available, videos or whatever, depending on what you see. And I know there is a list of correct answers. That is why I was telling you guys, you need to look at what is closest. If you type to the command, you'll be able to see like there. So you list what is there and you'll be able to get your correct answer. You go on to the next one, LSAL. And still it gives you more details. Kelvin is saying, is there a possibility of different sets of VM environment to give answers that are different? And was missing. What exactly was missing? Can somebody unmute and maybe explain to me? Because the virtual environment doesn't affect anything. It just creates for you a platform. Maybe I don't get you, Kelvin or Tom. What exactly do you mean? ICA authority, the same thing I am getting. If you look at all these things I'm listing, but now that is the answer for number what? That was supposed to be number 5. We are asking a large number of dot files should appear. Write down any information about the following files. Bash and so these are the rights which are normally allowed. Like if we are looking at this one, it is a read and write. ICA authority, the dot bash, where is it? This one, dot bash profile, dot bash. Yes, what is the closest answer? I see was missing ICA authority. How? I am able to see it, or the VM environment. Kindly, Tom, explain which environment were you using? Because the other thing I would ask, if you had not updated something normally which happens, and I would ask people to do is maybe update. When I'm using sudo, I'm just trying to get the, because if I said apt get update, it will tell me that it is unable to do that. But when I say and that should be able to work. I was using Ubuntu in Hyper-V. I think it should be able to work. It should work. So that should help. Now, continue with it like that. If it is going to have any challenge, I'm going to look, especially that particular number, I will look at it specifically to see what you have put. But you should be, yes, Kelvin, I will look at it. Maybe only for number 6 specifically. But if you do it properly, you do the update and upgrade, it should be able to give you the answers which I am looking for. Because whether you are on Hyper-V or whichever virtualization tool, because you could even use VirtualBox is also another virtualization tool. It should be able to give you the same kind of output. So, but now, is it clear now? Or does it make sense? Yes, just to do like I have shown here, that is what I'm actually doing, updating, and then you upgrade, and then from there, just follow through the commands. Kama zitaleta shida, I will still have another session, because now we have the virtual machine installed. We will have another session, maybe at the end of the week, and then where you are struggling, we look at it. Is that okay? Question 2 couldn't use the RM more programs. Okay. Maybe Tom, this is in assignment 7 or assignment 6? Or maybe now what I would advise, could you create like a new virtual machine if you are doing another work with this virtual machine you have, so that they don't affect, because maybe there are some configurations you have done, you have created users, because even in Linux, maybe I will take you through even with Linux administration, how processes are normally divided if you are trying to create maybe many users or and many processes and something like that. Silas is talking about assignment 6. What exactly what is wrong with assignment 6? Just to confirm, how to use Linux or Ubuntu? Both of them. Yes, we are dealing with assignment 6 and 7. Assignment 6 is the one you begin with, and it is building up for assignment 7. So when you are done with assignment 6 is when you proceed to assignment 7. You can start both of them separately, but assignment 7 is borrowing from assignment 6. Both should give same answers. Yes, yes. If you have created, that is why I was telling Tom, it is good you create another virtual machine which is fresh. If you have done some activities or some configurations, then you might be able, like now when we are talking about removing files or removing folders, then it might be able to give you problems. I repeat the command for updating and upgrading. Normally, if you are using Ubuntu, if you are using Kali Linux, you're already in the root. If you are using Ubuntu, then start with sudo then space apt get it. Or it will ask for for your password, and then you give the admin password, then you are good to go. Then to upgrade to upgrade, so that the two commands. So try to follow through those steps. Let us stop there for now. If you are facing any challenge, you can also get in touch with me. maybe privately huko kando, because I believe it should be able to work. Those questions, I set them on a machine which was using Kali Linux. I was using Kali Linux. Now this one, we just installed Ubuntu and it is giving similar results. So that is why I'm telling you, it should be able to work. So let us stop there. Kindly go through it again and see what happens. So let me end the class and say thank you. If there is any challenge,